Hey everybody, this is Nick Baldwin, and today I'm being joined by former Bellator lightweight champion Brent Primus, who takes on Alexander Shabliy in the first round of the PFL World Tournament, April 18th in Orlando, Florida. Brent, how are you?
Good, doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely appreciate you taking the time. Now, of course, it's been a few months since you competed in the final of the PFL Lightweight Championship tournament last year. You've had some time off. How have things been going? And now that you're kind of headed towards the end of training camp now, how excited are you to kind of get back in there?
Excited, man. I'm really excited. Just 2 weeks away from today, so I'm fighting a tough opponent, Shabliy. It's going to be a good fight, man. I'm ready. 2 weeks. Here we go.
And looking back on that last fight, of course, things didn't go your way. What do you if you're to reflect on it, what did you take away from it? What did you learn? What are the takeaways? What are the positives sort of from that fight?
Yeah, I'm not gonna like make excuses or whatever, but I had like a couple things happen, with my camp the week of with my coaches and things like that. Kind of threw me off a little bit, but Shabliy's tough. I got a good game plan with me and my coaches, and man, I feel confident in what my coaches have been working with me on, what we've been practicing day in day out every single day, and I got a good game plan for Shabliy, and we're gonna put it to the test and go get this finish.
Very good. You mentioned there was something kind of that happened with your coaches. Is that something you want to talk about? Can I ask you about that or?
No, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I was just training at two different camps, and for that camp I was training specifically at one, and then I had another coach that I usually train with, but he just wasn't there for that camp, and we weren't on the same page. And then he came to that there and switched the game plan the last couple of days of the fight, and it was just like just a little bit just off, and I was training for a certain game plan, and then it got switched like 2 days before the fight, and so I was just a little thrown off with that, but yeah, I got a good game plan now, and I'm ready, and I think it's gonna be a different fight.
And in some respects, I know you said no excuses, but you do feel like that maybe impacted how you felt in the cage that night a little bit.
I think it did a little bit for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I would have won and anything like that, or the fight would have ended up different, but I definitely affected my game plan and how I was fighting and second guessing myself, and it definitely wasn't how I usually fight for sure.
Of course, last year was your first year with the PFL since the PFL acquired Bellator, and you, among a bunch of other fighters, sort of came over, joined forces. Didn't end how you wanted it to, but you still had a very successful year in the grand scheme of things. A handful of wins, a final appearance. What was it like competing in the PFL that year? What was that experience like compared to Bellator?
It was, well, there's a bunch of fireworks going on behind you. What is that? What the hell's going on?
I must have said successful. That's probably what triggered it.
Okay. What was the question again? The fireworks threw me off here.
What was last year like? Just
Oh yeah,
competing
yeah.
in
PFL,
PFL.
dude, it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. I think before fighting in Bellator and stuff like that, it was hard to get fights, at least like 2 or 3 fights a year, and I love the platform, how we automatically had 2 fights, and I had 4 fights that year and last year, and it was great to make to the finals. I did, um, you know, I tore my knee 2 months before the Godzi fight, like, and I almost pulled out of the fight. I was going to, and then I talked to a really good doctor who was draining my knee every week and giving me like plasma shots and helping me get through that camp and everything. So it was definitely a really hard fight camp and everything doing that with Godzi. But I feel way better. I had surgery the day after I landed, after I fought Godzi in Saudi Arabia. And yeah, I feel way better now. So
Wow.
225, let's go.
Yeah, no, that's just the more you say, it seems like just the odds really were stacked against you in that fight. Did you have that surgery already lined up before the fight even happened? Like you said you had it as soon as you landed.
Yeah, I like 2 months. I was about, I think, 8, 9 weeks out from fighting Godzi,
Hmm.
and I tore my knee. I tore my meniscus off the bone, and I couldn't really walk. I was on crutches for weeks. I was on crutches for half that fight camp, and I was gonna back out. And then I finally found a doctor. He's like, "Man, we can drain your knee. I can get you bending your knee, walking. You can do this, blah blah. It's for $1 million, So I was like, I'm doing this, yeah, it was definitely the hardest fight camp I've ever done. Like I was literally there sticking a needle in my knee every Friday, draining out like 60 cc's so I could train and spar on Saturday and everything like that. And that sucked. And so yeah, I landed on Monday, had surgery Tuesday morning, and ready to go.
Was that the worst injury you've ever fought through?
Yeah. I couldn't stand on my leg. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't go shoot any takedowns. I couldn't kick. When I fought Godzi, it was horrible. I was like, I'm gonna knock him out, man. That's the only thing I could do right now. Is so I was yeah, man. I couldn't shoot or take him down. I couldn't bend my knee that well, and it would have been different. I think if I could have got my knee drained before I fought, but I was like walking around all week and training, and my knee filled up so big before that fight, and I was like, dang, here we go. So go out and try to box him and try to knock him out, but it didn't work out that well.
Yeah, and I mean, not just physically, but mentally, that camp must have been tough because part of you is probably thinking, do I pull out? That's probably the responsible, smart thing to do. But then, what's the old saying? What are you going to do for $1 million? Well,
100%.
A lot of things, right?
Yeah, so, I almost backed out. I was talking to my coach, talking to my wife. I was like, man, I'm gonna call PFL. I'm gonna back out of this. I was like, man, it's $1 million. Like, what the hell? Like, and then the doctor's like, man, I'm gonna drain your knee. We'll see if you can get you off the crutches. And yeah, and he did. After draining it and getting a plasma shot and stuff like that, I could walk without crutches and everything. But it was definitely the hardest fight camp, mentally, physically. I remember for 5-6 weeks, I would get on crutches. I'd go to the mat, drop my crutches, fall on the mat, and crawl. Let's go, guys! It was definitely hard mentally and physically to do, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And as we look ahead now, I know you said you're feeling a lot better. I know bumps and bruises happen. I'm sure you're not maybe 100%. No one kind of is going into a fight, but things are going good.
Shit, I'm way better, man. Yeah, way better than what I was. I could not stand on my one leg for my last fight or whatever. So this fight, yeah, man, it's going to be a better version of me for sure.
Excellent. And of course, sort of the big deal with the PFL this year is the format has been completely revamped. There's no more season playoff format. It is just a single elimination tournament. Give me your thoughts on sort of this change. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's better than what they had before? How do you feel about how the PFL looks in 2025?
I mean, I like it. It's cool. I mean, I think this is more of like a tournament style, how it is like single elimination. But I did like how PFL had their tournament setting, how you automatically had 2 fights no matter what. And I didn't like it at first, how they had like the point system and stuff like that. But when I was fighting and you were down and you had to make it to the next round, you had to get a certain amount of points or whatever. And so it made people fight wild or crazy, or made people go out there and try to get the finish. And I saw that, and so I did like that. But I did like the automatic two fights. But yeah, man, it's cool. I love PFL. I love everybody that works with PFL, man. And I love it. I'm truly happy where I'm at right now. So yeah, I'm ready for this next season.
Does this format make it, I don't know how to put it, I guess maybe financially riskier for a fighter, just because in the PFL regular season, like before this year, as you said, you're guaranteed 2 fights. So that's what, 2 paydays? Like I know with the grand prize, the paydays with PFL are slightly different than say if you were in UFC or in Bellator before the sale. But does it, I guess, is there more at risk in terms of just getting 1 payday versus 2 with this format?
I mean, yes, in a way, like how you say that, yeah, in a way. But at the same time, like, man, I think anytime you step in the cage, you're risking everything. You're risking, everything. So, like I said, I do love how you automatically had 2 fights. That was awesome, it was good for just, hey, my family, my kids, no matter what, we're getting this much money, blah blah, no matter what, so that was cool. But yeah, I don't know, this tournament's different. It's single elimination, you only got one shot, but at the same time, there's only 8 of us in this tournament. There's only 3 fights to win it all, which last time there's more, and there's I think it's 4 fights to win the whole tournament or whatever. So yeah, it has its advantages and disadvantages or whatever. So, but I'm excited. I'm ready. I like I said, man, I love PFL and all the guys that work for PFL and everything. So I'm excited.
And I guess, as you said off the top, risk is nothing really new for a fighter. There's always risk in a fight. How do you feel about the PFL still keeping the tournament and the champion series separate? And what I mean by that is Usman Nurmagomedov is not in the tournament. Paul Hughes is not in the tournament. Other fighters are not in the tournament. Would you have liked to have seen them just combine it all, do it under one umbrella, have the best fight the best? Or do you like that they're doing the tournament to kind of lead into the champion series, and that's how it's going?
Yeah, I see how they're doing it now. I thought that Usman and Paul were going to be in this tournament. I thought they were going to be when I got the bracket or whatever, got the contract. I was like, oh, dang, that's crazy. I wonder why they're not in it. But, I see what their PFL is doing. They're going to build it up, and they might have the winner of the championship in this tournament, fight and make it a big fight or whatever. So that's cool. But I definitely thought that they were going to be in this tournament for sure.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's just slightly odd because the winner of this tournament is going to be considered the PFL tournament champion, but then there's still, Usman out there for your weight class and whoever else for the other weight classes. I guess maybe they'll just kind of market it as champion versus champion at the end, but it just, I don't know, it seems a little strange that there's going to be kind of 2 champions at the end of this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think so too. That's what I was even talking to my wife about. I was like, it's kind of crazy they have 2 championships or whatever, or freaking call the BMF freaking belt or whatever. I don't know. It's just weird. Like you said, there's gonna be 2 champions kind of in one weight class or whatever. So, but I think they're gonna plan on having one big show and have the champions versus the tournament winners, and that'll be cool too. So we'll see.
Yep, we'll see how it all shakes out. Just with MMA in general, there's cancellations and things change all the time, so we never really know how things are going to play out until we see it. Alexander Shabliy is the opponent April 18th. He is coming off a loss to Usman. You fought Usman before, so familiar in that sense. What do you make of him? And I imagine you've gone back and watched that Shabliy Usman fight leading up to this. What did you make of that? And yeah, what do you make of Shabliy as your opponent?
Yeah, I fought him before. Obviously, he's super tough. He beat me, so I'm not gonna say nothing bad about him. He's really tough. I think you have to have a good game plan to fight him and win to beat him, and which I do. And I think Usman did too. Usman did more of a point fighting. When he fought him, he used his wrestling really well versus against him and all that stuff. So, but yeah, man, it's. I personally think Shabliy's, one of the toughest guys in the tournament. So I think this is going to be a battle right here. It's going to be a good war.
You get the win on April 18th. Does revenge kind of make that feel a little sweeter?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Yeah, obviously, the icing on the cake would to beat Shabliy and then make the finals and go beat Godzi. So, that's the plan.
That's what I was going to ask you. Or is that kind of what you're hoping? That's, revenge, sort of the revenge tour, let's call it, all the way through.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm not going to take anything away from Godzi. He's a champion for a reason. He's a beast. He's a champion. But, I was so injured when I fought him. And then not only that, I only was in Saudi Arabia for 6 days before we fought. I was like a zombie. I just couldn't get adapted to the time. Next time if I go to Saudi Arabia, I'm going to go 2 weeks before. Yeah, man, no excuses. Ghazi's a beast, but I'd like to fight him again for sure.
How do you think you get the win on April 18th?
I don't want to say too much, I don't want to give my game plan away, but man, I'm going to go for the finish. I always do, and I'm going to go try to put him to sleep.
All right, Brent, thanks so much for the time. Good to catch up with you. I appreciate it, and best of luck to you in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you.